Last minute. All right, there you go. Now we got sound. Now I can see that you guys can hear us. Wow, that was really good for the audience. This is not going to do too hot. Should we just now? I was going to say stop and restart. Let's just keep rocking.
Sorry, guys.
So now we have sound. Give us a thumbs up that you can hear us. I think that the mic is working now. We had it unplugged. We got a mess of a room in here. So talk about the market. Talk about the market a little bit. I thought this was going to be a great live. I prepared for it, and look what happened. All right, so what's up with the market?
So again, what we've seen through July and this first half of August, demand is still very high, still very much a seller's market, but it's not quite as much demand as we saw earlier in the summer. That's going for single family, multifamily, small multifamily. What do you say?
I'm seeing the same thing. I think it's a good thing because honestly, I'm one of those guys you all know. If you're seeing this, make sure to throw your questions. Let me know where you're from in the chat box. Oh my goodness, this is just a fun live. But anyways, that's a good thing in my opinion. It's a good thing that it's not as hot as it was because I'm not a guy that thinks it's going to crash. I'm very confident in that. However, it was not sustainable what was happening. 20% over asking stuff, that's not sustainable. Asking or a little bit above asking with softings, that's sustainable. That can last years.
Right.
20% over asking, that can't last very long.
Yeah, and here's the thing. In any market, right, whether it's the real estate market or the stock market, you want consistent, steady growth over time. You don't want these big ups and these low downs. You want it to be steady, consistent over time.
You don't want to not my bicep big and up and down.
Get out of here. Yeah, but you want that steady increase over time. You don't want it to be like these big swings. So I actually like the fact that the market's correcting itself a little bit because that means there's not going to be a big crash or a big dip. It's just sort of stabilizing, and that is exactly what you want in any market.
Correct. In order for it to continue to be strong, it's got to stabilize a little bit, which it is going into fall. With this new Delta, everything going on and going into winter, it's going to slow down. That's great. So rather than selling for 20% over asking, they're going to sell for 98 or 99% asking. That is just fine.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what you want as a real estate investor. You're in it for the long haul.
Yeah. So the market update, great. So keep the questions coming. We're going to answer questions for about 5 or 10 minutes. And then everybody, we're going to do a case study on a 12-unit apartment complex that I bought. Probably didn't have sound earlier when I said it, but the 12-unit apartment complex I bought a couple years ago without using any of my own money, that video has 200 and almost 250,000 views on Instagram TV. So wow. That means there's a demand for just somebody wanting to know how to buy a 12-unit without using any of their own money. So that's what we're going to talk about. So if you are down with that, continue to watch. Sorry about the stuff that happened earlier, but we are going to keep rocking. So make sure to like this and share this. The more people are on, the more likes, the shares, the more participation we get, the longer we're going to go.
Absolutely. And is this the 12 unit with the storage in the back?
Yep.
Nice. Very nice. This should be a good one.
All right. Why don't you go first on this one, Sheezy?
Which is better, residential real estate or commercial real estate? So I guess it depends on what you mean by better, right? So real estate is a lot of art and science, right? So a lot of it has to do with what you enjoy doing. Most people get into the game with residential and then they start sort of diversifying, whether that's wholesaling, flipping, commercial, office, industrial, Airbnb. The moral of the story is real estate is one of those things where there's just a million different ways to make money, right? So it kind of is like, what do you gravitate to personally? Like me personally, I just started getting into Airbnbs this year, so I'm leaning heavily towards that. I really enjoy that business. And, you got to do things you're passionate about, things that you're interested in, because that's what you're going to be the most engaged in, and that's what's going to get you the most return for your money, the things that you're passionate about and enjoy doing. What do you think?
What a good answer. This guy, he just made for
this guy's my mentor. He taught me everything I know.
He just made for the camera.
So I basically just take everything he says.
And then he said, everything you taught me, why don't you try? I'm going to spill it out and take credit for it, and then you try to think of something on top of it, right?
Love it.
No,
that's why I always go first.
No, I'm kidding. Yes, I agree. It just depends on what you want. Residential is a little bit more work. There, people live there, sleep there, eat there, shower there. Commercial, it's usually just a certain amount of time they're there, so it's a little usually easier to manage, a little longer leases. So there's give and takes with both. I liked having a variety. I have a few commercial units at the bottom of my apartment complexes. So I have residential, I have commercial, I have storage, I have single family, I have multi-family. So I like to do a little bit of everything, but that's not for everybody. That is because I have a very, very strong team, right? At first, I don't think you should do 7 different types of investing. I think just stick to 1 or 2.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, think of it like in school, like before you get to high school, you got to go through kindergarten, elementary. And so it's baby steps and allowing
sometimes kindergarten or elementary school twice.
Pre-K.
Twice. He went through kindergarten twice. But he made it.
That's not true. But anyway, like you got to sort of like crawl before you walk before you run before you sprint. So it's all about getting started, in my opinion, and surrounding yourself with like-minded people and really just getting in the game. And then once you get in the game and start learning these concepts and principles, I'm telling you, the sky is the absolute limit.
Literally, the sky is the limit. You can create however much wealth you want. Mm-hmm. So if you're just logging on, make sure to let us know where you're from. If you haven't, we're getting ready to do a case study on a 12-unit apartment complex I bought without using any of my own money. If you're just joining, you joined at the right time because the first 2 minutes of this, there was no sound. So we look like a professional company. So what are some of the holding costs? Holding costs, I guess, kind of depends. So holding costs I look at as the difference in when you buy the time between when you buy it to when you either sell it or refinance. Those are the holding costs I'm looking at. Most of you are going to buy a house, fix it up, and then sell it, or fix it up and refinance it with the BRRRR method. So the holding costs are obviously the physical repairs doing the property, but that it includes taxes. You have to pay taxes for when you own the property. I'm talking real estate taxes, not like personal taxes. You have to have utilities. You have to pay for rehabbing it, water, sewer, all that kind of stuff, electricity. Then you have like costs that you're paying insurance people because you have to have the property insured, and then costs that you're paying your lender. Those are the main expenses that most people don't consider. They look at their rehab costs, but you got to look at the other expenses that are kind of part of owning because they can add up.
For sure. And one of the things that people often don't include in their holding costs is their financing costs if they're using a hard money lender, right? So hard money lenders, typically you pay out at the end your origination points, but you're also paying a monthly fee. So you kind of have to figure that into your overall cost. So it's ARV times a percentage minus your rehab costs and holding costs equals your max allowable offer.
I like it. All right, great questions. Keep the questions coming. Like I said, we're getting ready to do a case study here in a minute. This should be exciting. So would you recommend Fannie and Freddie mortgages or commercial portfolio loans for scaling quickly for a new investor?
I can take this one. So I feel pretty strongly about this. I would focus my time early on. If I had to do it all over again, I would focus on building that right banking relationship and start off using commercial portfolio loans, because what that does, it builds your credibility as a borrower. And now that bank is looking at you as a business rather than some guy with a side hustle, right? So the earlier you're able to establish yourself in that way, I think it really starts paying dividends very quickly in short order. What do you think?
I agree. I didn't really listen to much of what you said, but I agree with it. No, I know.
Thanks,
I heard you. It's just like every other meeting, right?
Right.
No, I agree. I did hear what you said. It's really important to establish those relationships. And then the biggest thing for me, I knew there's kind of 2 directions to take it. You took it the one, I'll take it the other one, is Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac loans take time. They take 6 months seasoning period for single family houses. For apartment complexes. Yeah. I'm doing a Fannie Mae loan for my latest apartment complexes. That takes time. There's paperwork, the government's backing it up. There's rules, there's regulations, there's hundreds of sheets of paperwork. That's fine because we're doing it for apartment, getting super great terms for long-term loans. I'll do a separate case study on that. But you're not going to scale quickly doing Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac loans because it takes 6 months minimum seasoning. Some banks will make you wait a year. So if you want you to scale quickly, if that is your goal and you're not as concerned about getting a little higher interest rates and a little less AMs, you got to go with the local banks. That's why I'm your mentor, right?
That's right. So, one thing that they talk about in the Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac paperwork is that it can take 6 to 12 months of what they call a seasoning period. And when you're early on in the game, if you're not a seasoned investor, it's going to be more on the 12-month range than the 6-month range. So, in my opinion, that really just solidifies the point of doing portfolio lending. I'm gonna reference my bicep 4 times in this video.
Get out of here. All right, so make sure we'll answer your question, but only if you have a like. I can see who liked the videos, and if you liked it, then I'll answer your question. All right, great question.
Why are you so thirsty for likes, boss?
It's just trying to help, okay? There's 18 people on. Come on now.
I'm just kidding.
Thank you for all of you for being on here. All right. So how do you decide your exit strategy? Buy and flip or buy and hold? Do you want to go first, or are you gonna let me go first ever?
I'll go first. So
of course.
So okay, how to decide your exit strategy. So I want you to think about this in a slightly different way. you let the property decide. And here's how you do that, right? So first of all, we consider buying and holding like the gold standard of real estate investing. So to me, that's always my first viable strategy. And the way I decide if that's a viable strategy is I take my projected rent, which is my top line revenue, minus 7 elements. And those 7 elements are principal, interest, taxes, insurance, vacancy, property management, and maintenance. That's an awesome acronym. But so basically you're taking your rent, your revenue minus your costs, and that equals your net cash flow. If that property is cash flowing after all expenses at least $200 to $250, then it's a good rental. So with that piece of information, now you can decide, okay, this will be a good buy and hold property. Then you're looking at it, okay, what if I did flip it and I could make, say, $45,000 on it or $20,000? Then it's really just a matter of, do I want the $20,000 now or the $40,000 now, or do I want that $250 a month for the rest of my life? And that $250 a month is going to grow over time because rents increase, and at some point you'll be doing a refinance on the loan. But that's a really good way to look at it initially. What do you think?
There's a reason why this guy's a coach in our mentorship.
Killer.
I agree. Again, I'm not going to repeat anything you said. I'm just going to try and either add on to it or take a different angle. It depends on 2 things. First off, before I can get to those 2 things, every single good BRRRR deal, you're going to be able to make 20, 30, 40 grand on every single one because you have equity built in. Yeah. So you have to have the discipline to not sell them if you want long-term rentals. Every single BRRRR, if you're going to BRRRR out, you're going to be able to make money on.
This guy every day he tells me things that like I thought I knew my stuff, but he really knows.
I've also answered this question 100 times. That helps. But you answer them 100, you don't learn. But the 2 things I wanted to get to were first, you have to decide what your long-term goals are and what your short-term cash position is. 2 things. That's all you need to focus on when you're getting started. If your long-term goals are rentals and you have cash, then don't freaking sell the thing. Keep it as a rentals. If your long-term goals are undecided and you need cash, then flip it or wholesale it. So it needs Shahzad got into the detail of after you got the property under contract, what to do, which was great. Yep. I'm talking about before then. You need to decide what you need. And if you need cash, then flip it. If you don't need cash and your goals are rental, then hold a rental. If you don't need cash, but you don't care about rentals, then your decision is made. So you got to look at it through those lenses.
That's a really great point. Can I just build on that? So a really good way to look at that is, okay, so the property has certain factors to consider, whether it'll cash flow, how much you could flip it for, but also there's the element of your own personal situation, right? So a lot of our members, a lot of my students come to me and, don't have a ton of money. So a lot of times they're wanting to wholesale early on and then go into flips to stack up their cash and then get into rentals. That's a perfectly viable strategy. So it's really a question of, what is the property capable of, and what do I need in my business in the short term, medium term, and long term?
Because our mentorship is about growing rentals. Absolutely. But I would say 30% of it is how to find houses at discounts. So we've had people sign up for a mentorship that aren't ready to hold rentals, but they just are doing it. And they're going to go find great deals, and they're going to make 75 grand this year wholesaling, and then next year they grow rentals.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody comes to the table with a different situation. And a lot of our students, they need to stack so they can be in a comfortable position. And we coach through that all day, every day.
I love it. What are your thoughts on Section 8? Not going to go too. I think it's a great if you understand it and treat the tenants fair and you understand it and you have the systems in place for it. I think it's great. If you don't, then, it's fine. I don't really do it, but I know people that love it and crush it at it. B's got a good question here. And just so you know, we're getting ready in about a few more minutes. We're going to get into the case study, the 12-unit apartment complex that I bought without using any of my own money. I keep looking at that. Without using any of my own money. So question is, hi there, guys. I just got here. Hope you haven't covered it yet, but how to find a hard money lender or pull the equity out of my home to purchase another? Go ahead. You get to go first every time.
I haven't covered, but is it better to find a hard money lender or pull the equity out of my home to purchase? Nah, man, I would go with a hard money lender. You need to start building those relationships so that you can start getting better terms the more and more deals you do. But yeah, I would leverage other people's money. If you want to pull the equity out and use that, say, as like rehab funds. So the hard money lender, they're really good about providing the purchase price for the home. And then you can use your cash from your equity as your rehab funds. That way you have the purchase financing and the rehab financing. Boom. What do you think?
I like it. I agree. Yep. I'm not going to add any more. Josh said, can't ready to get started. We love it. James,
I know that guy, Josh Hensel.
Yeah, he's in St. Louis.
What's up, bro?
Just pumping you up. So look at these guys rock. Love the channel. Awesome. Mexican Sly. He's been on here a lot, so he asks questions. I like it. If I want to use equity from my house around $100,000 to put down on 2 or 3 houses to start passive income, how should I do it, or which bank should I ask? I'm going first.
Okay.
All right. So that is one way to do it, and there's no. Everybody has a different way. So that is 100% okay. If you want to take 100 grand out of your house and put 20% down on 2 or 3 houses, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. You don't need to do that though. You can, if you want to, you can leverage that $100,000. If you get $100,000, a hard money lender, private money lender, and bank will very, 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 very likely lend you more money because you have that liquid cash available. So you can leverage that $100,000 to borrow money from other people and do 15 houses this year or 10 houses this year without using any of that. And hard money lenders, at first, some of them will ask for a certain percentage down. Some of them will ask for rehab funds out of your pocket. So you can use that 100 grand for that and purchase these houses, fix them up, and then use that 100 grand for rehab funds. Because guess what? If you use $20,000 per down on a rehab house and $20,000 in the rehab, you use $40,000 of your 100, but you're going to get that back. So you're just going to be able to recycle it and never have it actually be gone. If you put it down on the houses, it's gone.
Yeah, so it sounds like from the way he's asking that question, he's talking about the old school method. Like, yeah, don't do that, man. That's a really slow way. And then once you're out of that money, or that money's tied up in the house, it's going to be very hard to recapture without years going by stacking that equity. I wouldn't recommend that at all.
Can you guys tell me what you know about industrial real estate? I don't know a bunch about industrial. My storage facilities that I own are zoned industrial, light industrials, but that's not really, I think you're talking about like industrial buildings and factories. I don't know a ton about it. I'm sure it's a good investment if you know it. Santos, great live. We're getting lots of people.
Yay.
People like the beard. I thought you'd fear the beard, but they don't fear the beard. They like the beard.
They like the beard?
Excited to see what apartment complex you purchased. All right, so we're going to answer another question. And then we're going to get into my 12-unit apartment complex I purchased without using a dime of my own money. Is that cool?
That's awesome, man.
We're just starting out little because I've done 4 since then. So we're just going to show you a simple one at first and start out with a simple one, then be cool. But a question for both of you. If you had $1 million, if I hand you $1 million, what would you do with it, Cheesy? You'd quit. He'd leave. He'd be like, see you, Sam.
Let's see. How would you invest $1 million in today's market? I would go large multifamily, like apartment complexes, 300-400 units. I would put together a syndication deal. I would be the general partner on it because I'd be putting up some of my own money. That's what I would do.
Yeah, I'm similar. I would probably. I mean, we did just do $1.5 million cash out. So
crazy.
So I would. What I would probably do, honestly, is I would say, which I just did $1.5 million cash out. So you mean 1.4 million. So if you want to have a YouTube video on that, so go check out, by the way, there's like 20 YouTube videos on here. Mexican Sly says, yeah, anybody that wants to DM me for more information, DM SamFasterFreedom on Instagram. I'll answer any questions and tell you about what we offer. But for the $1 million, I would probably, man, it doesn't matter if I get somebody has $100,000, $1 million, I'd leverage the shit out of that, man. Oh, can you say that? I would leverage that. I would leverage it because I want to grow more. I want to own like $100 to $150 million in real estate. So while $1 million's cool, I would use that money to, buy an apartment complex and maybe use some of my money down and then get it back on a refinance, or use some of that money to leverage. If I got $1 million cash, hard money lenders, private money lenders are going to loan me millions because it's just sitting there. I might put it in some like kind of safe investment and just leverage the crap out of it to borrow tens of millions of dollars. Yeah,
leverage. That's the game of real estate, man.
Awesome. All right. So make sure to DM me. All right, let's get into it. Are you guys ready? If you are ready for the case study, which let's just turn this over if they want to see it. If you're ready for the case study, I don't know if it's good or bad. The case study on the apartment complex, we are about to drop it. So
let's go.
You're good. Can you just show them the apartment complex? I will do all the numbers. If you can do the screen share just to walk them through the apartment a little bit, because you're a little better with this.
All right. So you want me to
share screen? Yep, we're going to share. And then just hit the Zillow link up there. Perfect. So here's the apartment complex. I wanted to show it to you. There it is. There you can kind of see it from the outside. It is a 12-unit apartment complex in Troy, Missouri. Nice little apartment complex. Nothing too fancy. 2-bedroom, 1-bath apartments. You can go out a little bit. There's even some pictures of the units if you want to show them. If you want to hit that X and download the X in the black right there. Yep.
Right there.
Hit that X, and then you can kind of see. So they're nice units. You know, they're nothing crazy. We redid them slightly, you know, put new floors in if we needed to. Just, you know, they're nice. They're nice apartments. They're nothing fancy, but they're 2-bed, 1-bath, just nice apartments. So this is the apartment complex. This is it now after we did what I'm about to show you what we did. You know, not a ton of rehab there needed, just painting. We've redone the parking lot and a few things like that. But that is the apartment complex. Just wanted to give you guys a little background. There's a storage on top. All right. So now let's get it out there and then let's. Yep, we're good now. All right, so that was it. So we're trying a new thing for you guys. All right, so here's what we did. So that was the apartment complex. So I ended up here you want to show you guys 12-unit apartment. Can you say that? Can you read that for me?
12-unit apartment, no money out of pocket.
This is why I haven't started a podcast, because I can't talk. All right, here we go. So this is the whole shebang. So please share this live if you don't mind. If you're watching it now or later, I'd really appreciate it to help get this out in front of more people. All right, so I purchased it for $785,000. It was actually listed. It's up in like a little bit of outskirts of St. Louis. It was listed a few years ago when the market wasn't as hot for $825, I believe. So I got it under contract for $785, and I got a 20. We needed to put 20% down on that because that's 20 to 25% on apartments. Okay, so we put 20% down on it, which is $157,000 is what we needed for the initial down payment of this property. Guess what? We didn't use any of our own money. We used a private money lender for that down payment. So I borrowed $157,000 from a private money lender, and I ended up using his name's Steve, his money for the down payment. All right. Makes sense. You with me so far?
With you.
All right. So then that left a bank loan of $628,000.
Correct.
Just to reference, remember that 628. So
got it.
Bank got 628, 157 from the private lender. We bought it. It was in okay shape. You saw some outside pictures. We did a few things out of cash flow. We raised rents, not unnecessarily. We just raised them, $50 to $100 a month, depending on where they were, as we improved them to market rate, probably a little below market rate, honestly, but we improved it and got rents up to where they needed to be. And we increased efficiencies. We managed the property better. We implemented software. We got maintenance done better. We just made it all better, and we increased cash flow. And that's how apartment complexes are valued. I'm not going to go into cap right now, but single-family houses are valued on the market. You can, as long as you're maintaining your property, you have no control over what it's worth as a rental property. The market does. On multifamilies, one of the reasons I love them is you can force value. So this is what we did. So
can I give them a little pro tip?
Do it.
So this process of
you're kind of a little pro, so it's perfect.
This process of buying an apartment complex and raising the rents as you increase efficiencies and just making the property better, that whole process is called stabilizing, right? So your goal is to buy this multifamily property and stabilize the property through that process of rehabbing the units, making the outside cosmetics look better, and raising rents. That whole process is called stabilizing.
Love it. Stabilizing and forcing appreciation.
Absolutely.
Those are kind of the 2 key
Yep.
words there. So just let's recap real quick. Can you read that? Because I can't read.
12-unit apartment, no money out of pocket.
Perfect. We purchased it for $785, put 20% down, $157,000 of a private lender's money. Yeah, sorry.
All right.
And then we got a bank loan for the other 80%. Then we raised rents, and 2 years later, the property appraised for $990,000, and that's
so awesome.
That's so. But and this is like a little more conservative one. I'm going to do a case study on one in a few weeks where we increased it by $500,000 in 2 years. So so it's worth $990 2 years later. So that's what it's worth. We got it appraised. So guess what a bank will do? They'll give you a loan for 80% of that. So the new loan we went from 628 to 792. Okay, everybody with me? So they gave us a new 80% loan. So they gave us $792,000, and we owed that 628. We owed 615 on that because it was 2.5 years later. So 792 new loan minus old loan, which gave us $177,000 of cash. Remember, we borrowed $157,000 from our private money lender. So that $177,000 of cash we got gave us enough to pay back our initial private money lender, his $157,000 plus interest. We actually paid him like $172-ish, I think. So we got to keep $5,000 of tax-free money, and not in the world. It's kind of nice to have. And he made 7% monthly interest on his $157 through the 2.5 years. And then he got his $157 back plus interest. And now Lucas and I each own it 50-50. Nobody else owns it, just us. No money out of pocket. It's still cash flows because we got better terms on the loan. And that's a way to buy apartment complexes without using any of your own money.
So I got two things to add, right? So at the end of this whole process, without putting any of your own money into the project, now you have a cash flowing 12-unit rental property, which is just awesome without having to spend any of your own money. That was the first thing I wanted to just sort of bullet point. The second bullet point is that I hope someone out there is listening to this the same way. You know, the very first time I ever came across your content online is when you were talking about the 27 house package, where you did something very similar. And I still remember that. I was watching that and I was like, man, this guy is so full of shit. Let me go see, you know, if this is legit
Full
or
of
not.
biceps too, but
Exactly. And so I started following Sam's content. I followed him over to YouTube. I found him on TikTok. And I like locked myself in a room for like 3 weeks and watched every single video. And I was hooked. I was like, this is exactly what I need to do. So I scheduled a call. I enrolled in the mentorship program, and guys, it changed my life.
you want a hug?
No. I'm just kidding. But I'm hoping that somebody is out there experiencing the same thing that I experienced, because this is really life-changing stuff. You just have to sort of open your mind and understand that this is done all day, every day in real estate investing. And this is not like an uncommon thing. This happens all the time.
Yes, appreciate that.
Yep.
And it's free. And you see the bottom there, there's free training. Go there, check that out. I'm just giving away free information. We're growing a brand right now. And by the way, we're going to continue to ask questions. So ask questions about that deal. Getting ready to go to the chat box, but I just want to talk about free stuff. So that all my YouTube, TikTok, Instagram's all free. That free training's down there free. If you want the Driving for Dollars app, it trains you on everything you need to know Drive for Dollars. If you want to go get deals, download the DealMachine app, use the code FasterFreedom. Talk about free. And if you want to learn how to run properties and run comps, if you don't have access to the MLS, get batch leads and use the code FasterFreedom.
Can I
free
something?
stuff? Yeah.
So at that freerentalwebinar.com, guys, if you watch that video, it'll answer a ton of questions. And you can also schedule a one-on-one call with me. I'm the coach for the Live Rental Academy. Guys, do it. It'll change your life. Taking that first step is everything.
I like it. So let's get to some questions. So what is your question, Shadow, about on DealMachine for somebody starting out? It's a great way to start out. There's a few Driving for Dollars apps out there. They're all pretty good. We like DealMachine best. It's great. And you get a free 7-day trial using that code FasterFreedom. Like, I don't get paid anything for your free trial. Just letting you know, it's free for you, and I don't get paid a dime for your free trial. So just go try it. There's trainings, there's free trainings, free. You get free deal credits. You can buy a house potentially for free. Probably not, but you might be able to if you are active enough in those 7 days, and then just cancel the damn thing afterwards. I don't care. It's free. All right. So anyways, do you have any more specific questions about DealMachine? We said something funny. Our boy laughed at us. So keep the questions coming about real estate or about the apartment complex. I just bought my first property. It's in my wife's and my name. Would you suggest setting up an LLC? Would that make sense for a person to set up? Yes, Ryan. My opinion would be yes to set up an LLC. You can own up to 10. I guess technically if it's in both your names, but you can own up to 10. She can own up to 10. Or if you're owning a joint, it would be 10.
Is he saying residential or investment property?
I think he's talking about investment. Let us know, Ryan, what you're talking about. If you're talking about investment property, I would assume that I would set up an LLC. Yes, you can buy it in your personal name and quick claim it. A real estate attorney or a title company, whatever state you're in, will easily be able to do that. And then your LLC will own it. It will help protect you legally.
Yep.
What made you buy an apartment complex? Just wanting to grow. I'm in growth mode right now. At the end of the year, I'm going to own 25 million in real estate. I'll be 33, I guess 34. The goal is 100 million by the time I'm 40. So that's going to happen.
Fucking crazy, dude.
You can't say that word.
Oh,
so that is the goal, and I'm going to do it, and I'm going to be talking about it on my TikTok, maybe to Instagram for the next 6-7 years, and it's going to be fun. So come along for the ride. Follow me on all three. This guy will be here. I just did it because we're growing, and it's just a different way to invest. It's diversification play. That's why I have singles, rentals, multi-rentals, and storage facilities. Maybe even get into STRs. Maybe I'll take this. If you
let's do it.
Create a course on STRs. I'll do it.
it.
All right. Are you worried about having too much debt? Yes and no. Like, I don't want to have stupid debt. Put this back over. There you go. Are you worried about having too much? That's the question. No, not really. I mean, if it was bad debt, it would definitely concern me, but it's good debt. So every single dime of my millions of dollars worth of debt is tied to an asset that produces cash and grows in value. So I take out debt to buy something that produces cash. That's good, right? The cash that it produces pays off the debt. But that's not only what happens, it grows in value as well. Because I do all right for myself, but I don't make enough money to buy, $6 million worth of real estate, putting 20% down every year, $7 million worth of real estate. And it doesn't really affect your credit score. My credit score is still very good because it's good debt. So I don't want to get into stupid debt, but good debt doesn't scare me. What about you?
Yeah, so I think most people have been trained and taught and indoctrinated this idea that debt is bad. So we're not talking about consumer debt. Consumer debt is bad debt, credit cards, cars, boats, things like that. We're talking about leveraging debt to create cash producing assets. It's a completely different kind of debt. So everything that you heard, or what's his name, Dave Ramsey, all that, that's not what this is. That's a totally different kind of debt. This is the kind of leveraged debt that creates cash flowing assets. Completely different mindset.
Yeah. Like Dave Ramsey, nothing wrong with the guy. We actually spend a lot of money to go to his Entree leadership events every year.
I just went in Dallas just a couple
it was
months
great,
ago.
right?
It was awesome.
Yeah.
But see, here's the thing. He's not talking about debt. That's just like the message he has for like teenagers and people in their 20s. Once you get past that part, it's really more about leadership. But anyway, I'm ready.
Yeah, his the whole thing, get out of debt and live on cash, is for people that want to get by and retire when they're 75. If you want to create financial freedom and create wealth, you most likely have to get into good debt to do it. You guys are very informative. Thank you.
That's my boy Josh. What's up?
Best place to buy cheap appliances for flips depends on your market. There's a ton of them. There's a ton of different places around. And if I missed any of your questions, it was on accident. They're all answered on YouTube. There's over 200 videos on there now. So when you guys say use 100K leverage, finish that question, if you wouldn't mind.
Use the 100K.
I think that was the beginning of a question. All right. So,
okay.
Does landlord insurance cover you if a tenant refuses to pay rent? Yeah. So there's different types of insurance. You're gonna have insurance on your properties and like general liability insurance. But no. I guess yes. So you can't get insurance if somebody just doesn't pay rent. You can get insurance for if something happens to the property and the property needs repaired and the tenant has to move out. You can get insurance for that, like up to 6 months worth of rent. If there's like a small fire or something and the tenant has to live somewhere else, you can get insurance for that. But if the tenant just simply doesn't pay, there's no insurance for that.
Yeah, and a couple things on insurance. Highly recommend using Shelter Insurance. They have one of the best rental insurance products out there when it comes to insurance. They don't operate in every state, but if Shelter does operate in your state, highly recommend. And then once you get to a certain point, I would say like 10 properties or more, you probably want to buy what's called an umbrella policy, and that gives you all types of coverage. The bigger you get, the more protection you want to have.
Like that big?
Like that big.
All right. They're covered up by the comment. That's all right. So so to finish, so what exactly does it mean? All right. So let's get a little bit of let's break that down a little bit. So what I mean by leverage is, I wish I had your name. Say your name so I don't just call you Mexican Sly.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what I mean by that is I would use other people's money. I would go to hard money lenders and private money lenders and banks. If you want to own rental properties, borrow money from a hard money lender, private money lender, buy a house, fix it up, take it to the bank, use their money. However, when you're just getting started, some hard money lenders will require 10% down of what they loan you, and they will require monthly payments to them. Private money lenders won't. Most hard money lenders will. And some hard money lenders will loan you 100% of purchase and none of the rehab. Same with private money lenders sometimes. So the point of that all is not to get too in the weeds, is you might need to access a little bit of that in the short-term basis. You'll get it back when you sell it or refinance it, but you might need to use some of it. So I would use it for that. Also, if a private lender or a hard money lender, especially a hard money lender, is looking at you and saying, should I give this person a loan? If they see that you have $100,000 available, they will be much more likely to give you that loan, because they know if something goes wrong that you'll be able to cover the difference, or if you'll be able to make the monthly payments out of that. So it's just a security to be able to use to leverage. You're leveraging our knowledge right now. Like what you're doing, rather than learning everything on your own, you're leveraging our knowledge. It's the same thing. You're just using that to leverage and do more because you have that.
Yeah, 100%. And what lenders call that, they call that reserves. you always want to have strong reserves. They're much more likely to give favorable terms to somebody who, say, has 20,000 in the bank than somebody who has 200 in the bank, or 100,000 in the bank versus 1,000, right? So having those cash reserves, if you have that as a resource, definitely, sort of leverage that in those conversations with lenders.
Got it. Light bulb. I like it. Yeah. So this is the kind of stuff we talk about on my TikTok, on my YouTube, my Instagram, and obviously in the mentorship. So DM me on that or go to the training at the bottom. Josh's got a question here. How do you make sure your contractors are really good, or can you the job you need them to do?
I'll take this one.
You notice when I read, I miss like every third word. Have you noticed that?
It's charming. No, it's not. So Josh, because you're in St. Louis and you're going to be, part of our program, we'll connect you with lots of good contractors. But for everybody else in general, here's the deal with contractors, right? It's probably one of the most difficult things to do, and it requires some trial and error to find the right contractor. So here's what I would tell you. Talk to other real estate investors. See if they're willing to share some of those resources with you, because good investors know good contractors, and good contractors know other good contractors. So it's really about sort of showing up in the market, networking with people, getting to know people, and it's a little bit of trial and error, but you want to sort of mitigate that as much as possible through networking.
For sure. Cool. Julio, nice. Julio, I like it. I like the pick.
What's up, cool. Julio?
Hit me up on Instagram if you haven't. Does your credit matter for lending? Yes.
Yes.
My wife, 868. I don't think that's possible. I think 850 is the height. I think you meant 686. Anyways, maybe that's possible.
You're funny.
And then 771. So yes, you guys got great credit. So yes. That will you will be just fine. And DM, go to that free training.
Yeah, that's a great credit score, man. Both of those, if
that's possible.
Yeah.
Cool. Anyways, y'all make sure to follow my TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. If you're interested in our mentorship, hit me up on Instagram or go to the free training. Set up a call with me or Shazad. We take the calls. He's the man with the plan and the big biceps. So we'd love to help you out. Follow our stuff. Have a good rest of your day.
Give me a call, guys. We'll take good care of you.
Going live every Tuesday at 2. So we just started this. We're going to get some more traction. We're going to start to get 50, 100, 200 people on here in the next couple weeks or months. So we'll chat soon. Peace out. Do we have a mentor? Any mentor in Minnesota? Us.
Call me.
We do it virtually.
Freerentalwebinar.com. Schedule a call with me.
Peace.